Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you, coming at you with some gameplay for Magistus Dracotail. This first game is going to be up against a Regenesis Pendulum pile, and it will also showcase exactly how we can make use of some of the Magistus cards, even outside of our one-card combo opening Spenta. That line is going to be in my Dracotail combo guide, which I'm going to link down below. Here we're going to begin with normal summon Lucius. Opponent's going to chain Ash Blossom, but thankfully we have the call by here. Now, once the Lucius resolves, we are of course going to be adding the Phimena to our hand, so let's grab that. And now we can activate our Phimena's effect. I'm actually going to fuse the Lucius in hand with the Crowley that's also in hand. Really, in the grand scheme of things though, I could have fused the one on board, because I'm really not going to do much with this Lucius. Rather than link it off and go into Spirit, I'm going to actually use the Arthelion here in order to summon something other than Spheres. I'm going to use the Arthelion to add not only Phimena, but also Crowley back to hand. Now the Crowley effect will activate because the card was added to my hand except by drawing it. It doesn't have to be from the deck, it could be from the graveyard off the Arthelion's effect as well. But the other reason to also actually use the Lucius in hand, which I'm remembering now in hindsight, is that we can add back not only the Crowley, but also the Phimena as well, which of course we'd like to have for, you know, our Rahu here. So, on Crowley's summon, we can use the effect in order to fuse with my Arthelion. And now we can summon Zorora, the Magistus, it's Verithranga, but I never remember that. So yeah, this is a really cool monster negate. Admittedly, I did misplay in this turn by not immediately equipping the Crowley from the graveyard, and treat it as an equip card in the spell trap zone, because I didn't actually notice at first, but that actually counts as a Magistus monster card to send to the graveyard for this. I thought the idea was this would just tribute itself, but no, you can send the equipped Crowley, so that's really cool. It lets you get some mid-combo monster effect negation to potentially counter some hand traps here. And we can not only still end on the Golemel plus our trap cards, but the Arthelion will also revive off of its own effect. So really, we did not lose any advantage at all. Again, I should have fused the Lucius on board, because this one's not really going to do much. It'll just sit on the field. And then we equip and then pass. The reason I didn't link this off and make Spheres later is, of course, the fact that Rahu Dracotail does lock you into fusion summoning. And again, in order to make Spheres, I would have needed to use Arthelion, which I wanted to use to make the Zorora instead. And I wanted to summon this earlier on, once again, to have some protection from hand traps in their combo line. Alright, going on to my opponent's turn here, I think we have more than enough to counter them. They're going to fire off Fulos. I'm actually going to chain the Phimena, because that's the only quick effect special summon I have for my opponent's turn. And I can simply fuse away my Lucius and Arthelion on board and summon Mysterion, the Dragon Crown. Now Fua will give them no draws. Lucius will set a Ketu Dracotail for follow-up plays. They're going to activate Dragon Shrine. I don't feel the need to negate this spell. We'll wait for a later one. They're going to summon the Dark Worm, and I will banish it off its own effect so that it can't be used as a material now, and it also cannot be summoned from the extra deck later via Pendulum summon. Mysterion only banishes, does not negate, so they can still add the Supreme King Gate Magician. I'll let them set up their Pendulum scale. When they go to use Astrograph Sorcerer, I'm going to use the Zorora effect, which will not only negate the Astrograph Sorcerer, but it destroys any card on the field. So I was actually able to blow up my opponent's Pendulum zone, which caused them to concede, as they no longer have an easy way to get a Pendulum scale set up, which of course will affect their ability to extend their plays. So that's one example outside of just opening Spenta of how you can weave the Magistus stuff into your combo line. Again, a card like Crowley you might think looks like a brick to open, but as we can see here, it doesn't just break at all. It doesn't break even a little bit. What it really does is lets us add a mid-combo monster negate, which is extremely valuable. So let's take a look at our next duel. Alright, so here we have a going second game against Mitsurugi Ryzeal. I did encounter some Dracotail quote-unquote mirror matches, but we'll get to those a little bit later on in the video. Alright, so opponent's going first. We have an excellent going second here. I find myself opening a lot of hands like this in Dracotail, where we're able to have a couple of starters plus a few hand traps. It's really nice when you have so many starters in your deck and you can also use your hand traps as a combo. Makes your deck really consistent. So I'm going to let them add the Habakiri. They should have used the prayers during draw phase, but I'm going to let them add the Habakiri, chain Fulos to the Habakiri. They're going to call by, and I'm going to Ash Blossom the Saji as soon as that comes down here in a moment. So Ash Blossom on Saji effect, they have 3 other cards in hand, and I have Effect Veiler for any potential follow-up they may have. Also, shout out to, oh, I should have looked up the commenter. There's a commenter who on the combo guide suggested Veilers over Imperms, which I very much agree with, since this is a spellcaster monster to fuse with. Finding another Ash Blossom is pretty nice. We're going to normal summon Lucius here, adding the 5 mana. Even if we had gotten negated here, we of course still would have plays with the Raku. And our opponent's going to Joel Mockbird us, but the nice thing about Dracotail is that this deck is almost immune to Joel and Lockbird. The only way Joel really hurts you outside of other non-Dracotail engines is Ketu add Lucius, which is why you want to actually add the Malulu off of Ketu if that's all you open with. Because then you dodge losing to Joel and Lockbird. So they are going to have an Ash Blossom for the Ketu Dragontail, or the Rahu, sorry, the Rahu Dracotail. Also, I think I've been saying Dragontail somewhere in the middle of all this, but you know what I mean. So we're going to have to swing for 3k and then pass back with the Flame. They've got 4 cards in hand going into their turn. One of them is a Habakiri. I was going to say, so I already know that that's not going to be a threat. They also triple attacked to draw 2 on the last turn and then didn't have plays after that, telling me that they were on a pretty bricked hand. It seemed they weren't able to find a top deck. Even if they had top deck like Ice Ryzeal, we have the Ash Blossom for that. If they had top decked, you know, a Mitsurugi card, we have the Flame, which can negate prayers and ritual. So we were pretty well covered just about no matter what they had. We also, of course, had 5 mana to fuse. I think 5 mana to fuse first would have actually been correct. We could have fused Arthelion on board with Ash Blossom in hand to summon like another Arthelion, and then we could have bounced some of their cards. Well, no, we would have had to bounce the Ash Blossom back to hand. In any case, we had it. So let's go into our next. Okay, both of these games coming up here are going to be against branded Dracotail, which I haven't tried yet, but that is definitely going to be the next Dracotail variant I try. There are going to be probably at least a couple of other videos that come out between now and when that drops, but just wanted to give you a heads up. Okay, so we're going to open the Lucius plus the Crowley again here. So I'm going to go for the same line that I did before, where I fuse the Crowley in hand, but I'm also going to fuse it with the Veiler in hand as well. As well as the Lucius, I mean. So the reason I did all 3 there was to be able to add back 2 cards, because I need 5 mana and Crowley, while still trigger the Lucius to set Rahu. They're going to chain Magnum Hut, and they're actually going to banish the Crowley, which for a second kind of had me worried. I was like, okay, so are they going to have like a Nibiru or something? Like another hand trap like mid-combo? Is that why they went after Crowley and not 5 mana? Or maybe they wanted to hedge and assumed I had another Dracotail monster in hand? Oh no, never mind, 5 mana is water. I always forget these things aren't light or dark, so they had to banish Crowley. Duh. Okay, yeah, 5 mana is water, so actually nothing in the Dracotail archetype is light or dark. It's pretty notable. I can use my Golemel here on turn 1 to pop their Magnum Hut, which is honestly pretty good for me. It kind of just means that like they're not going to have any advantage, right? They're not going to be able to use that Magnum Hut body to go into other things. I'm going to use Ketu in order to add Pan. That way I have it in hand to fuse with on my follow-up turn, and I can potentially pop a monster card with it. We'll set the Horn that's in our hand, and sure enough, they're going to add Dracotail Malulu off of the Magnum Hut during the end phase there. They're going to go activate Rahu, which I was a little confused by, because I feel like this is like my prime flame target. So I don't know why they gave me that straight up, because spoiler alert, they will activate Ketu Dracotail here in a moment. Granted, I will say these games were played literally just like 2 hours after the release dropped, so it's of course completely understandable that, you know, people aren't going to be super well versed in Dracotail. I mean, I'm not yet either. So they are going to drop the Secretarian Dragon, which means I can't activate the effects of Dragon or Spellcaster monsters I control. But we still have the Dracotail Horn face down, meaning I can bounce it back to their hand. And now they've used 5 mana and Rahu. So they could still... Oh, no, they used Ketu to fuse for that, didn't they? Yeah, because I didn't chain Maxi, because I forgot Ketu can fuse. So sure enough, I was talking about people making misplays with and against Dracotail. I'm doing that right now. As I go to end their main phase, I'm going to Phimena fuse into Arthelion. This will let me cherry pick a bunch of stuff to add back to hand, which will be Phimena, Maxi, Valor, and they're not even going to bother. They're just going to concede to me as I go to set probably Ketu Dracotail from my deck. Then I could activate it, go into Malulu probably. I don't know. We had board advantage there. It was a pretty easy dub. All right, I have one last replay to show you. Let's go into that one. And this final game is going to be another game against branded Dracotail. This duel, I want to show you particularly how Dracotail can play during the opponent's turn 1. Now, you might be noticing that I'm going first. It is actually my opponent who is going to be playing against me. So I'm going to normal summon the well, of course they're playing against me, but they're going to be doing Dracotail plays against me. I'm going to normal summon Lucius, go for the Phimena. They're going to chain Fuelos. And this is really good what they're about to do here. So naturally, I'm going to go Lucius plus Malulu into the Arthelion. This will give them a Fuelos draw. I'm going to go Arthelion Chainlink 1, add back the Phimena, Malulu Chainlink 2, and then Lucius Chainlink 3. So basically, I'm going to set up my turn 1 end board minus Golemel and only give them 1 draw off the Fuelos, right? There's Flame, there's Horn, and then I can even add the Phimena back to use during their turn. So as I go to end main phase, they're going to use their Phimena, fusing an Orgola and a Lucius from their hand to summon their own Arthelion. Now, because they fuse the Orgola from hand, they can actually pop one of the trap cards that I just set. Of course, I can't use them because it's still my turn, and not only that, but because I had to set them from deck, they know which one is which. They can set up some follow-up plays for themselves with Ketu and Rahu Dracotail face down. There goes my Flame to negate either of those, and they can just wheel the Phimena back to my hand, as well as the Orgola. Now, I'm going to go for my Rahu Dracotail, but they had an Ash Blossom! Oh, they had everything here! But again, even if it's not me, I really wanted to demonstrate just how well Dracotail can play on the opponent's turn 1. Like, they set up better than I did on my turn, which is absolutely insane. Like, keep in mind, these are Ketu and Rahu Dracotail, and they have, is it Lucius and Orgola, or is it Phimena and Orgola? I think it's Phimena and Orgola in their hand. They get to Ketu for the Malulu here. Again, me misplaying, not chaining Maxi to Ketu, forgetting that can also fusion summon. And honestly, at this point, I'm like, yep, you got it. So I'm just going to give it to them. All right, let me show you the deck list, and then we will finish off. Okay, so here is my deck list for Magistus Dracotail. As far as the main deck goes and how you build it, like put it together, it's actually really, really similar to Pure. Honestly, my Pure build, which I play King of the Swamp and a Polymerization, I literally just took those 4 cards out and then added the 5 main deck cards of the Magistus engine, which is 3 Spenta, the Zorora, and the Crowley. So that brings us to 41. I like having 41 because there are things you prefer not to open, like the Pan, and Crowley is still kind of a card you don't want to open, but it's really, again, not that big of a deal as I demonstrated in that first duel. Where you really have to make more room is the extra deck, but also you have a ton of room in the extra deck. Again, we're not on King of the Swamp, so I took out those targets, which were Dragoon and Tyrant. And then I took out one of the Golemels. And I'm trying to remember what else, because that's 3. There would have been 2 other cards. Well, in any case, you could compare and contrast, but the Iwas, the Magistus Spell Spirit, is actually a card you might not be familiar with from Magistus that does want to be in the extra deck. Because if you do the combo line where you open Spenta, you can actually go into this on the opponent's turn, as well as making this Zorora. So this has the ability to equip your opponent's monsters to it, and then Zorora, of course, can negate monster effects. So yeah, in certain combo lines, especially where you have Spenta, plus other starters is what I was gonna say. That's why I mixed them up. As long as you got that Spenter there, plus a starter, you are gonna be good to go as far as a line like that. The Borload Savage Dragon plus Spheres. Again, if you open Spenta, you can end on that. So having the Borload Savage Dragon is pretty important for the extra deck. But also, I didn't show any games where I summoned it, because I kind of wanted to show that you don't really need to rely on this Omni Negate in order to win. It really is just Dracotail. with a little bit of an extra oomph. So I do think that this build is likely better than Pure. There's not much doubt in my mind about that. But again, I haven't played Branded Dracotail yet, so that's the next Dracotail variant I'm going to try, and then I can compare it against this one. But I really like Magistus Dracotail. I think it's really fun, and it's really good. Also really cool to get use out of cards that aren't necessarily in the TCG as well. But that's going to go ahead and do it for now, so thank you so very much for watching. But we're going to move on to our outro so we can thank YouTube members and patrons. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.